Before we begin, take a moment to settle where you are. This is not advice. This is not motivation. This is a quiet reflection for people who think deeply, feel deeply, and carry more than they show. If you often replay conversations, worry about outcomes, or feel mentally tired without knowing why, this reflection is for you. There is nothing wrong with you. Let the mind slow down and listen without trying to fix anything. Overthinking does not come from weakness. It comes from care. It comes from paying attention, from noticing details, from wanting things to be right, from wanting people to be okay. Many people believe overthinking means something is wrong with them, that their mind is broken, that they are too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But most of the time, overthinking begins because you care deeply. You care about how your words affect others. You care about outcomes. You care about harmony. You care about not hurting anyone. You care about not making mistakes. So your mind stays active. It replays conversations. It imagines different scenarios. It searches for the safest response, the best decision, the least painful outcome. Not because you want control, but because you want peace. Somewhere in your life, you learned that being careful mattered, that thinking ahead prevented problems, that being aware kept things from falling apart. So your mind learned to stay alert, to stay ready, to stay engaged even when the situation had already passed. At first, this feels like responsibility, like intelligence, like maturity. But over time, it becomes exhausting. You think about things long after they are over. You worry about things that may never happen. You feel tired even when nothing physically demanding has occurred. Your body may be resting, but your mind is working constantly. And slowly, you begin to feel overwhelmed. Not because life is too heavy, but because your mind never gets a break from caring. Overthinking is often the mind trying to protect you, trying to prevent pain, trying to prepare you. But the mind does not know when to stop. It treats every thought as urgent, every possibility as real, every uncertainty as a problem to solve. And so you carry conversations that are already finished. You carry responsibility for emotions that are not yours. You carry outcomes that are not in your control. This is not because you are weak. It is because you are attentive. But attention without boundaries becomes burden. There is an important truth that is rarely acknowledged. Not everything you think needs your involvement. Not every feeling needs your response. Not every possibility needs preparation. Some things are meant to unfold without analysis. Overthinking happens when care turns into self-pressure, when responsibility turns into self-surveillance, when awareness turns into constant mental activity. You begin to watch yourself closely, your tone, your words, your reactions, your decisions. You question yourself even when nothing is wrong. You doubt yourself even when you did your best. And slowly, trust fades. Trust in yourself, trust in others, trust in life. You begin to believe that if you stop thinking, something will go wrong. But peace does not come from thinking more. It comes from knowing when thinking is no longer useful. Caring does not require constant mental effort. Love does not require worry. Responsibility does not require self-exhaustion. You can care deeply without carrying everything. There is a difference between awareness and over-attachment. Awareness observes. Over-attachment grips. Awareness notices. Over-attachment clings. Awareness allows. Over-attachment controls. When you overthink, you are often trying to control outcomes so that no one gets hurt, especially you. But control is not the same as safety. Sometimes the safest thing you can do is let go of the need to manage everything mentally. To let thoughts come and go without following each one, without solving each one, without believing each one. Thoughts are not instructions, they are not predictions, they are often not accurate reflections of reality. They are often reflections of care mixed with fear. You can acknowledge a thought without obeying it. You can notice a feeling without building a story around it. You can care without carrying. This is a practice, not a switch. It begins by noticing how often your mind returns to the same places, the same worries, the same questions. Not to judge it, but to understand it. Your mind is not trying to harm you, it is trying to protect something precious. But protection does not require constant tension. You are allowed to rest mentally. You are allowed to not have answers immediately. You are allowed to trust that not everything needs your attention right now. Some things resolve themselves. Some things change. Some things were never as serious as your mind suggested. When you stop feeding every thought, many of them lose their intensity. They slow down. They soften, they pass, and in that space something else appears: clarity, presence, relief. You begin to feel your body again, your breath, your surroundings. Life feels closer, more real, less overwhelming. Overthinking keeps you in the future and the past. Presence brings you back to now. And now is usually quieter than your mind suggests. You don't need to stop caring. Caring is part of who you are. You simply need to stop punishing yourself for caring. You can care and still choose peace. You can care and still let go. You can care without overloading your mind. It is not your job to anticipate every outcome. It is not your responsibility to manage everyone's emotions. It is not your role to prevent every discomfort. Your only real responsibility is to stay connected to yourself. When you do, your mind naturally relaxes. So the next time you notice yourself overthinking, pause internally. Not to force silence, but to offer understanding. Say to yourself quietly, I am thinking this much because I care. And then ask, is this thought helping me right now? If not, you are allowed to release it. You do not lose control when you stop overthinking. You gain balance. You gain energy. You gain space. You gain peace. And slowly you learn that care feels better when it is gentle, not heavy. You were never meant to carry everything mentally. You were meant to live, to feel, to experience. So let your care exist, but let your mind rest. You don't overthink because you are broken. You overthink because you care too much. And learning to soften that care is not losing who you are. It is learning how to protect your peace.